guys and see what we can do, see if we can catch them off and pick up a win for ourselves.
Now, speaking of picking up a win, we are into picks and bans, ladies and gentlemen. XL on the blue side with Enclave on the red. Vladimir taken away straight away from Paris. He's done pretty decent work on that one there. Zoe taken away from Krumel. So pretty standard respect bans coming out so far from these two teams.
Yeah, as I was saying, the Vladimir for Paris was a game changer in the first week of play, so not going to be seeing that one come through. Zach as well, banned away from Monkas, so not going to be finding much purchase on that. Going to be looking more towards the likes of the Sejuani, although saying that hasn't really found much success on that champion, so just making sure that he's getting rid of the top picks. And we're already saying how well XL played as a team, Taxer and Krummel on that Galio, so wouldn't be surprised to maybe see them pick it up for them first time around, but instead it is going to be the Camille. Now this is something that they've done before because Sendo and Taxer both played this champion. Taxer had a great game on it, putting down a lot of early pressure in this even last week. So having that one picked up for himself and how well it works with the Galio means that they've got a lot to play with in their books.
A lot of options there. The flex pick of the Camille means they can throw it in the top lane, like you said, they can throw it into the jungle. But that does free up the Tam Kench. And so far tonight, Tam Kench has had a pretty good showing. 100% win and 100% participation in both the games so far tonight. And also 100% on the red side. The teams seem to like to kind of give that one up. And the Caitlyn going to be picked up there for Frappy as well. I got to say, I've been extremely impressed with Frappy. He's come into this whole thing and he's definitely, you know, made it his own. He's come up as one of the up-and-coming ADCs. He's really marked himself as the someone to watch on the side of Enclave, and when he's got ahead, his team haven't quite, you know, got the numbers really, or made the plays to make it really count. But last week he just absolutely dominated, made it count against Diablos, and I really want to see how well he kind of develops into from a player from these positions.
Yeah, he has been playing out of his mind in a lot of these games and has been a shining light for these guys, but we'll have to see if he's able to have the same impact, particularly when he's playing against a Camille and a Galio. This is so devastating as an AD carry to play against. You just get locked up by the Camille, and next thing there's a Galio charging down on top of you as well. It makes it so hard to play against. Even when you've got that Tam Kench there, he will be able to protect you somewhat, but it's going to more or less be both of you locked up there. Now, actually looking back across, Paris calling me out. I said that he didn't have the best game on this last time around, so this time he's going to be looking to make his mark.
Yeah, definitely looking to prove you wrong and prove everyone else who doubted him. Has had a week to really grind this champion out. Cassiopeia can be very overwhelming when played properly, but when you can kind of get on top of her like a Camille can, like a Galio can, it needs to be definitely taken with caution. But second ban phase is well underway with the Taric taken away from XL. They do not want that going up against Frappy and Shogun, with Nasus taken away from the side of XL. Maybe baiting the fact that Nasus can do fairly decently into the Camille, but like I said, it's still a flex. Taxer can take that champion, and Taxer can do well on that champion as Lulu, the final ban from Enclave.
Yeah, the Camille is also a pick away from Kerberos as well. He did quite well of it on it in the second week of play as well. So they're kind of taking a lot away from him. And when we saw him go back to the Warwick, there was question marks thrown up about, is it because he's just had so many of his champions banned away, or is this actually something that he likes to play? And don't forget as well, Sendo has got the Urgot, these split pushing champions in his back pocket as well. So,
ooh. I don't know if that's like a throwaway ban, but Tryndamere, I suppose Kerberos, he is the guy who plays all these unconventional tops, and they might just not want to play against certain of those particular picks.
Yeah, Nasus, Tryndamere, the two big split pushers being banned away. Not ones that we see more in competitive play. Nasus has seen us a little bit, but Tryndamere definitely one that's come out of the blue. But we'll have to see if it does end up giving a lot of picks over to the side of Enclave. They are going to lock in the Sejuani for themselves, which means that we're going to be looking towards, if it is Sendo taking that Camille, something a little bit further down, but I feel like they're going to be locking in the top lane this time around. It's going to be Kerberos who will have the counter pick, so could go with something like the GP who is available, and particularly when you're looking at the Galio and that Camille combo. I love watching that alongside something that can do a lot of late game damage, a great split pusher, and Gangplank just fits the bill so well. Plus, you've got that protection coming down alongside the Galio. You've got that global ultimate as well for the lockup, but they're actually going to go with the Gnar potentially in this scenario. Does work quite well again in that split push scenario and offers a little bit more of engage going into these fights.
We'll have to wait and see as Jarvan is locked in. Zac taken away, Jarvan, Sejuani, and Zac. The holy trinity of junglers. Well, Skarner kind of making his way in there, making it more of a square, but we'll see now. Braum, Jarvan, the final 2 picks for XL. They've got a pretty good protector stand-up comp and a lot of engage with some good snowball potential, so be interesting to see how this early game goes, especially in the bot lane, considering how strong Frappy and Shogun are. But Enclave, do they go with the Warwick again? It actually is going to be locked in there for Kerberos. Had him very much subdued and not really did much on that Warwick the last time out. So be curious to see exactly how we go for it. They feel confident enough to pick it against the Camille.
I feel like Kerberos didn't really get to show what he could achieve, though. He was just shut down so early by Wind and Rain. There was constantly Dan coming in alongside the Fiora just to try and keep him from scaling, really make it a nuisance for him and allow Fiora to hit that late game where she just becomes one of the best split pushers in the game. So nothing that Warwick could really bring to the table could compete with her by the time he actually ended up in a 1v1 lane with her. So this is where he really wants to show, okay, look, I can put up with this split push style that Sendo's going to be looking for, and Warwick is the champion for me. This is what I want to do, and he's got to put it down. This is going to be game 2 that we've seen this, and game 1 didn't really work out, but he's got all to play for this time around.
He has got it all to play for. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on Twitch, if you're just listening to our fantastic voices, well, yours more than mine, but let us know who you think is going to win using the hashtag ENCWin for Enclave or hashtag XLWin for XL. And looking at the drafts as well, I kind of prefer XLs a lot more, given the kind of caliber of players that they are and the pressure we've seen them, being able to exert so often in their games. I like that they're able to go for this kind of like, we have late game insurance, but we've got that mid game power spike with the Camille, with the Galio engaging. It just looks a lot more clean.
It's just because they have so many more options available to them. Especially, one of the things that Galio exceeds so well with is someone who can enable them to use that ultimate aggressively. And this is what we see a lot of teams getting their advantages through. When it was SKT who pulled it out alongside the Alistair, we saw as well it was Jinair who brought out the Rakan as well, just to make sure that they can get those guaranteed engages in the bot lane. Now you're looking at very similar styles from the jungle and the top lane as well, where you're going to have the Jarvan to lock up someone, you're going to have the Camille with the Hextech ultimatum as well to just put people in their place and go, you're not moving, and here comes my buddy. This is exactly the type of style that's so difficult to deal with, and this is where I want to see a very different game coming out from these guys than what we saw in the first game today, where we saw Galio. He was stuck in the mid lane, not able to achieve very much, but this shouldn't be the way that Galio's played. You've now got that aggressive engage that they didn't have, or they couldn't find realistically in the first game. I'm hoping it'll be a very different story this time.
Hopefully, but ladies and gentlemen, we have a quick pause at the start of this game, so we will be getting in super quick as soon as all players are 100%. We do apologize and thank you for your patience. Looking at these two teams, looking at how everyone's kind of shaping up right now, Enclave, they still have a lot to prove. They had a great game against Diablos, but they still have the likes of Wind and Rain, the likes of XL, Misfits Academy. They've got these massive teams that they really need to figure out how to, to break down. They had 4 attempts at breaking down Diablos. So they, only getting one of those is still a great win, but it's still not the best thing to be going at. And I want to know what have they got in the back pocket apart from just these oddball pocket picks.
I mean, an oddball pocket pick is great, but we haven't seen it work. And that's the biggest concern for me right now is how are you going to let this Warwick get to the later stages? Because what we saw most certainly from them in their games on Sunday was that they wanted Warwick to stay in lane. They wanted him to continue to push. They didn't think he'd be useful in these TP plays, which is how Wind and Rain started to get their advantages. Even when it went completely topsy-turvy for them, they were still able to put the play in motion, not find much, but then they could continue doing this over and over and over and over. And there was nothing that Enclave were even looking for with the TP on the Warwick. Now we're looking at a very similar style coming out where they've got these members, Crumble on the Galio on the mid lane, you've got Jewel on the bot lane with the Braum, who can enable their team to do so much in these gank scenarios. And this is where we're looking at Enclave. Can they hold out against the Storm? If they do, they're in a good spot. They have late game, they have the Caitlyn, the Cassiopeia, they have a Warwick who will just become so tanky and able to lifesteal so much, it'll be near impossible to take him down. But the question is, can they do it? They haven't been able to hold against the top teams. This is where they really need to take it to the next step and ensure that they're able to control the map in its entirety and not fall behind.
We'll have to wait and see. But ladies and gentlemen, we are on to the riff for Game 3 of the ESL Premiership Week 3 Spring Season 2018. XL on the blue, Enclave on the red. That's going to be a very interesting one. I want to see how Paris does against this Galio. You know, like you said, didn't have a great game last week on the Cassiopeia, so definitely needs a little bit of redeeming. But I feel like it will be a little easier for him to get something going for him if he doesn't see Taxer coming to that mid lane a lot.
The only thing though is, we saw SKT Faker was up against this exact same matchup and he was destroying, even getting the terror dive solo kill onto the Cassiopeia, sidestepping that ultimate. It was a beautiful thing to watch, but it does mean that there is a very similar matchup that's going to be coming our way. You can see already the cleanse as well onto the Galio, so he's going to be very safe in these early stages of the game if Monkeys ever decides to make his way in there. So it's going to be a case of making sure that he gets through this first back nice and handy, picks up that magic resist, and then starts to looking for the plays.
Taxer already has his 2 buffs, going to push into this mid lane a little bit aggressive. Mel just going to use it to harass up. Harris getting a little bit overzealous in that mid lane. We may just turn on Twitter to see flashes being burned on the mini map. No one else actually going to die, but Rappy and Shogun, I suppose considering how long it took him to get... Actually, as I say that, though, we're going to see Kerberos maybe getting a little bit of a heal. He does, but there's a lot of minions aggroed. He does eventually get it back. And there's a stun. Will he get one more? He will! Kerberos with the 1v1, taking the kill, gets the lifesteal off of the back of that just in time. Monkeys now, nice little knock up, going to be forcing out the spell and the summoner spell. Actually, 2 summoner spells. Cleanse and Flash both down. Jungler has been very active in this mid lane.
And what a kill though in the top lane. We were questioning Kerberos, did he have it? And knowing exactly how much damage he can do as well. Flashes forward into it. And I got worried for a second. I was like, he's so low on health, but the lifesteal comes through off of the Q, showing his teeth and gritting his way through, ends up picking up the kill for himself.
Yeah, it's very curious as well. Sendo threw a ward into that bush after the minions had de-aggroed. I could understand what he was trying to do. He was hoping that they would still stay on top of him and put down that little bit of extra damage, which could have won him the trade. Not quite working out. He's a little bit slow on that trigger finger and pays the price for it. It's, you know, a good solo kill for Kerberos. And like you said, didn't really get the opportunity to make this kind of Warwick pick work last time out and when he picked it, but definitely getting a perfect start now.
Certainly, and this is where it becomes an issue for Sendo as well, because if the Warwick can hit that level 6 point faster, it's incredibly difficult for Sendo to run away in this lane. There's a lot of CC that can come through with the fear, with the slows, and then as well being able to follow you so far with that ultimate, and also with the Q as well, is just incredibly difficult to get away. This could really turn into a big issue for these guys as we start to look further into these laning phases. And as well, we'll have Monkeys coming up to boot, so this is going to be a scary Warwick as we start to move on.
The longer this game goes on, the more it gets a little bit dicey for both sides, depending on who has the vision control, if you think about it, because both have, you know, kind of relatively high damage in that late game. Cassiopeia more so than Galio, but at the same time, Tristana more so than Caitlyn. And I'd be very curious to see how Kerberos decides to play this early game, knowing he has that early advantage, that big wave stacking as well. He's going to force that straight in, knowing it's going to force the Sendo to be a little bit more cautious. No sums in the mid lane either for Mel. And he also needs to be a little bit careful as Monkeys. He seems to be having a little bit of better time in jungle than the last few times where he kind of goes for a gank and then goes a little bit overzealous.
Yeah, he will be losing the vision war in his own jungle though, so it means that he's, or sorry, not in his own jungle, in the enemy jungle, they'll be losing the vision war. So Taxer is going to be spotted out by that ward, and with the blue buff quite a bit away from spawning, it means that ward should survive for quite a while. The things, if Sunder was watching, should go down to let them know that the ward is there, but well, I don't know how often he's been popping that tab button to see what items the Warwick has. But they will want to try and get that out as soon as possible. If they can limit the impact Taxer can have in the early game, it shuts down by part of that the Galio pick as well, because you want to be utilizing those two together.
Wants to try go for it, and Paris just stacking up now. Has about a 10 CS lead, which, like you talked about, Cassiopeia has an easier time at harassing the Galio, despite Faker. Faker makes it a little harder. He's kind of like an extra handicap on the mid laner. Unfortunately, he's just that good. But Taxer now going for a little bit of invade, as you see on the mini-map. They pinged him out, so I think pretty sure they know he's there. Kerberos getting a lot of harassment right now as this minion wave does crash into his turret.
Yeah, he will be fine though, and should be able to lifesteal that up as well. See, he hasn't even popped the pot as well, just because he knows he should be able to get a good chunk of that regen just coming through from the passive. But in the bottom side of the map now, we're seeing as well Frappy and Venzer going at it. These are two players that have been so good for their teams. Venzer had a bit of a shaky start one of the days on the Kog'Maw pick, but very quickly turned that around as he was able to go from 1-3 to 6-3 in a matter of minutes. So this is a guy who knows how to hold his own in a team fight and be the late game carry. When you're up against Frappy on the Caitlyn, it's going to be a very difficult thing to do. He's very good at poking from afar, particularly in the early levels where Tristana doesn't have the same range. But surprisingly, he's actually been the one getting the pot out of his counterpart. Frappy no longer has that, even when opting for the Doran's Blade.
Yeah, Monkeys and Taxer on opposite sides of their own jungle, as they are literally trying to make something happen, but looks like Taxer's the one who wants to go in. Kerberos not getting baited just yet. Will maybe get caught out now as Taxer does come around the backside. There it is. He's going to pop down the fear. Does actually get the fear on both of them. There's the ultimate there. Suppression coming down. Kerberos will actually... What the hell? That was a weird direction. What the hell? What happened there? He's going to keep going. Though. I don't think he can kill him. No, Galio's here. Kerberos will not... Yeah, he will die, but that was the oddest interaction I've ever seen.
So this is the thing about Warwick. If you flash away and he's queued you, he will just follow forever. It doesn't matter where it is. He does it with TP as well. He just goes. And you can see there, Kerberos played that so well. Waited for all of the CC to be used, and then knew, great, my ultimate can't be stopped. The suppression comes down onto Sendo and ends up picking up the kill there as well. And ends up forcing out the Galio ult as well, because they're so fearful, monkeys. He's going to end up burning that ultimate as well. So this is a lot of the map pressure now down, all thanks to Kerberos' play on this Warwick. Gets the answer of the kill, gets the TP out as well, forces Taxer back into his own jungle, and now no more Galio to play around as well. And look at Frappy and Shogun instantly begin shoving this wave, because now they know they're free to make the plays. They don't have to worry about Galio being down here anymore. They can start to put the work into that bottom lane turret.
Yeah, we can start to try and get some kind of advantage, pushing it up, getting the back in. Kerberos feeling a lot better about himself, I would imagine, getting that deep vision down. Find himself 15 CS up with a 2-kill advantage over his laner, and effectively a sheen to his name. And Sendo, he's had pretty good games so far, but this Warwick pick seems to have stunted him a little bit. It's not quite working out exactly how he probably wanted it to.
Certainly not, especially when he's got that Tiamat as well. So it's going to be quite difficult to try and keep Kerberos away from this turret. And the second he gets there, does have the Sheen. Now, yes, Sendo does have that Tiamat himself, but I think Kerberos should be able to push this in pretty effectively when Sendo has to be scared at pretty much all points in time of the trading power that comes through. As I say that though, he's looking again for an engage with the cavalry coming through.
Yeah, oh, nice ultimate away. Kerberos keeps himself safe, and that is the Galio and Jarvan putting the pressure down onto him. Kerberos, though, not going to be caught out just yet. Did spy out the massive massive front line that was coming his way up to top as Jarvan and Galio, they're just generally huge champions inside this game. Galio in particular.
Yeah, they take up quite a bit of space, and they take up quite a bit of the map pressure in this game as well. Kerberos now underneath his turret will be able to farm up. Actually, here's the engage.
Yeah, here is the engage. Both ultimates used in tandem, picking up the Warwick as they both go in at the exact same time. Nicely done there. Doesn't even give him a chance to get his damage reduction fear off. Again, pressure, timing, all this different things like that. Now they're going to look for something maybe into this mid lane. Actually, as I say that, it was actually just a reaction to Duel and Venzer rotating up to try and possibly catch out Paris, but nothing comes of it. That's the kind of little bit of power you get when you play with the Tahm Kench. Has got that huge amount of mobility in this kind of, you know, with his ultimate able to go right up into lanes. Not a massive global, but it's still very handy.
You can see how fear for Enclave are, though, of the early game pressure that can come down. It only just takes Venzer and Duel to leave the lane for them to start that rotation straight off to get themselves to keep Paris safe. And this is where they're going to be able to answer for it in a little while. But Galio's ultimate is now available, so the map is now free to roam for XL again. They'll be able to see if they can put the pressure down. And with no Tahm Kench to help them out, Monkiz has kind of been a non-factor so far in this game. XL have the cards to make the play happen.
Will they be able to right now? Because even Stevens in terms of gold, but that Infernal Drake being the difference right now means they're not able to get a huge amount different off that. As I say that though, Rooted ignited there onto Venzer and gets jumped on. They're going to flash and heal along with Duel. So Summoner's Vantage to the side of Enclave. Frappy did not burn his flash. The Monkeys, he's hunting. He wants something right now. He wants to see if he can just get someone. Venzer as well has got the Warwick blood sent onto him as Taxer jumps over one way. They both pop down a ward, see each other. But Taxer needs to be a little bit careful. They haven't got the best of dueling right now. Galio is available. There's the Galio ult coming in, forcing the flash. Oh, Cataclysm does not quite catch him, but a great Cassiopeia ult onto the Tristana, which means Venzer is dead. Now they jump onto Cromel, who gets devoured, spat out, and a double kill to the Cassiopeia. Enclave looking to really stomp out this early game. All the while, Camille went mid. You have Kerberos on the top side. Great advantage to Enclave.
Enclave played that fantastically, and much props to Paris in that fight. Not only did he get the absolutely game-changing ultimate there, he also put down the miasma, which meant that Crumble wasn't able to get away. He was stuck there, had the flash available, not able to use it, and Enclave picked up a huge boon to this early game.
Massive play as Sendo back up to Kerberos, who's just able to sustain so much. Has got a Thornmail onto him though, as Kerberos, or Sendo I should say, has it, as Kerberos is starting to do a little bit more healing than he probably likes. Not a Thorn Vest, of course, a Bramble Vest. Not quite that late into the game, but these are the small little items. These are the little things that he's going to have to pick up as I see Sendo. Oh, Taxer's there. We're going to have to probably see Kerberos use his ultimate defensively now in a second. As I say that though, Sendo taking a lot of damage as his Kerberos forces himself out of that lane. Galio back up to that towards that top side. They're looking for first turret.
Yeah, they have Demolish there available as well, so we'll be able to put a good chunk of damage down. Monkiz is not in a position to help that, so between Sendo and Taxer, that will most certainly be going down. It's going to be first turret going across to Excel with no real answer coming through from Enclave. We were just praising them for their advantages that they've gained on the bottom side of the map, but not really able to turn it into anything, and leave Kerberos again on his lonesome on the top side, and this is looking like a repeat for the Warwick from his game on Saturday or Sunday even, where he was getting a little bit of advantages but not really able to turn them into anything once he started to get camped by the jungler, by the mid laner, and we can see the exact same situation happen again. This time though, he's joining the team, doesn't have the ultimate available, but they're looking for the Drake.
They are. Kerberos is just going to play keep away as they jump onto him. Infernal Drake has been taken. We saw Jarvan jump into the pit on the backside as the side of Enclave are trying to engage. Sendu has not got any flash. Taxer is just nowhere near this fight. Either is the bot lane of XL. They get the Infernal. That's a 2-stack, and they get the kill. Will they have enough pressure in the lanes though? All lanes were pushed out for the side of XL. They will get damage onto this turret.
Yeah, they will be able to get damage, but not able to finish it off. So it's going to be the Infernal Drake and a kill going across the Enclave, which is good pressure coming through from them. 2 Infernal Drakes already picked up, and they're only 15 minutes into the game. So they were already in the boat for that late game scaling, and now it's only been doubled thanks to these double Infernals that have come through. So this is really good for the side of Enclave if they can just continue to hold out the way they have. No, they haven't got the turrets, but a lot of other stuff has been going in their favor.
Yeah, we talked about it as well in the first game of the day, with the Galio pick not really being as impactful as you'd want it to be, given how much priority you put onto it. But it's kind of happened again. Krumel just hasn't really done much with this pick. He's only 0-1-0. He's behind in CS. His ultimates have been okay, not the greatest. It's been kind of these weird, like, he jumps onto one person rather than waiting for them to be all clumped. I want to know why, why do they think they need to be so scared of using their Galio ultimate, and why do they think that it's just not quite working for them?
I actually think it's just coming down to a timing thing. It was that play on the top side of the map that we saw come out of Kerberos, where they were forced to use it defensively to try and save Taxer from Kerberos picking up the double kill from that gank, which meant that they no longer had it available when they wanted to move around the map elsewhere. They needed to try and use that more proactively, maybe even get Krummel up there at the start of that rather than using it at the end of it to try and solidify the kill. But it meant that once that ultimate was down, they couldn't go and try and use it on the bottom side of the map. It took so long to come back up that's when we actually saw that second team fight come through. So when you're looking towards a Galio pick, that first ultimate really needs to be impactful, because this is what happens. You start to fall behind, and that map pressure that you have very quickly dwindles once that ulti's gone, and the rest of Enclave were able to collapse and get the kills through. So it's not really on the side of Krummel. It's actually just he hasn't really had the time to make it work. It's just been down to cooldowns overdue from that Kerberos gank.
Yeah, we actually saw both Taxer and Krummel look for something in that bot side. It looked like maybe they wanted to have a little bit of a dive, but Monkeys was around. They did spot him out a little bit. As I say that though, Tendo is walking down towards this mid lane. They're going to maybe see a little bit of a fight happening fairly soon. Looks like both sides getting a little bit impatient. You can see it in the way they're playing. Both top laners, mid laners, and junglers are now here in this mid lane, as we see Paris getting stunned up, taunted up. There's the knock up. There is the Cataclysm. But an absolutely huge miasma, and the massive ultimate means they're able to turn around. Paris with a huge play onto that one. Taunt though means that we're going to see Kerberos go down. Did go in a little bit late, but Paris saving that gank right there. Massive ultimate from him.
Yeah, fantastic play from him, and that's the second time now Paris has been able to come out big with those ultimates, saving his own skin, saving his teammates, and really solidifying Enclave's advantages in the mid lane. This man is playing out of his mind this game.
Playing fantastically and showing us what he can do on this Cassiopeia, but I do apologize. I call this Petrifying Gaze a miasma. Even though he did throw it down, I did mean to say Petrifying Gaze, but we have a little bit of a pause. XL are losing, so they can't have that. I'm joking. But I wanna talk a little bit while we're in this pause for the kind of the reaction or the kind of development we've seen from this Enclave roster. A lot of people weren't really kind of highly rating them, hugely coming into the season. They were seen as a top 6 team maybe, and no one really gave them kind of the time of day. They've come out, they've really got themselves going, and they are looking like a threat to the top 3 or 4, even maybe the top 2, if we get to see them against Misfits or Wind and Rain again.
Yeah, like I was in that boat as well, I have to say. I wasn't expecting these guys to come out swinging the way they did. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been missteps and hiccups along the way, but overall they've been playing a very solid League of Legends, and we can see it this time around as well, where Kerberos is getting the pressure on the top side and the rest of the team is utilizing that pressure to the great extent that we've seen in this game, where Yes, they got the Galio down. Okay, no ultimate available for him. We're free to go for the Inferno Drake then, because they're committing all these resources to the top side, which means that we now have the surplus on the bottom side of the map. And this is just great play to see, and how a lot of the top teams are playing is more around the deficits of cooldowns and ultimates and everything in between that the lower teams haven't been able to find a foothold in the game with, and punishing them so heavily. And this is now what we're seeing come out from Enclave against Excel.
And back to this game as well, not even just off of the kind of, the grand scheme of things. Excel ignoring those infernal buffs, and it mightn't seem huge now, but both these teams had fairly equal late games coming in as we come back off the pause, but they both had fairly equal late games, but Excel have to execute theirs pretty much perfectly to come out on top. Long extended fights will mean the Cassiopeia, Caitlyn will get their crits off and their extra Twin Fangs. They will end up getting so much out of the fights that it's a bit of a kind of, you can't really ignore these anymore. If it's another Infernal Drake coming up, they have to fight for it. A triple Infernal onto a Caitlyn and a Cassiopeia is just ridiculous. If you let that go through, you're just not going to win any fights past 35 minutes.
Not a hope in hell are you going to be able to touch the side of Enclave if it gets to that stage. And right now it's looking very much so like it will. They haven't really been able to find a foothold. And again, we're going back to the stalemate of, okay, look, they've got the advantages in the Galio ultimate. They're going to have the TP available for Sendo soon as well. So Enclave are just playing a passive. They don't have to force these advantages. They're quite happy to let the Roa build up on the Cassiopeia, let the Caitlyn go up towards her Infinity Edge, and just continue to poke down these lanes, slowly but surely gaining their advantages. But as we've seen before, they can turn it on at a moment's notice. And right now, they might need to do it on the top side. Rift Herald will be started up by Excel. A big commitment of members up on the top side though, and here we are again, Enclave committing multiple members to the bottom side. Yeah,
we're actually going to see the Galio ult in defense. They lose the Rift Herald, but they gain a tower and an ultimate a minute before the dragon has spawned. They have the pressure, they have the tempo. Yes, you're trading a turret for a potential another turret, but we've seen it a couple of times with the Rift Heralds. It's not guaranteed gold. And as I say that, though, looks like Taxer might be in a little bit of an issue. He's forced a Cataclysm and then flash away. Little bit of oversteps here and there. Enclave just playing it, like you said, slow and steady and getting the advantages.
And now where do you try to put down this Rift Herald if you're on Excel?
Oh my God.
You just use your Galio ult, you just use the Cataclysm. You need time to reset and get yourselves back in order before you can make a play and get down this big Herald in any of these lanes. This is where you're starting to see Enclave, and we actually saw, sorry, not Enclave, we saw Excel, but we also saw teams previously today as well where they were getting these Rift Heralds but just throwing them down anywhere so then they could get use out of it, but they didn't have the map pressure and they didn't have the advantages to use it. And this is where it comes down to Blood Penguin. What you're talking about is actually having the advantages and the pressure to use that buff correctly. Is it going to gain you gold is the real question. And looking at Excel, they're going to have a lot of issues finding somewhere to put this Rift Herald down and make good use of it, especially when we're looking at what these guys are doing now. Enclave getting deep control of this jungle on the bottom side of the map means that they're going to be free to back away towards this Drake, and still no ultimates available for the key members of Excel means there won't really be much of a scrap around it.
I think that's what they know, and that's what they're fighting to try and get, is that they want to try and force Excel go for this fight. That's why they didn't immediately go for this dragon. Now they go for it, but Excel don't want any part of this right now. It's not an Infernal triple, but it is a Mountain Drake, and the next Drake is going to be an Ocean, so no quite triple stacks just yet. Shogun trying to run into this mid lane. Rift Herald was deployed, so they may be able to pick up this mid lane turret, but the rest of the side of Excel are trying to back away. Duel gets stunned up, but he has a lot of members with him. Camille in that bot side also meaning that they have to back away on the side of Enclave. They have to cover their lanes.
And there you go. Rift Herald used, no terror picked up, and this is what I was talking about. When they don't have the cooldowns available, they can't really utilize that to the best extent. Now, we did see them pick up the bottom lane turret, but that one's going to be worked on for a while, and I think overall Enclave are going to be so happy. 3 Drakes to their name, 22 minutes into these games, and they haven't fallen that far behind, and now you're going to see them start to kick it up a notch. You've got the Archangel staff completed. Roa nearly finished onto Cassiopeia. The Infinity Edge just finished on Caitlyn. This is now where they can turn on the aggression. They were already playing a defensive style that worked incredibly well, but the ball is now in their court, and it's a case of how hard they want to chuck it back at Excel.
Yeah, it is equal relatively in gold, but those 3 Drakes are scary. Actually, as I say that though, they just take the lead as they take the mid lane turret, but the fact that you have 3 towers to 1 and you're only just about ahead on gold by like 50 or so is not... Actually, they're behind, funny enough, as I say that, but that's a big issue because there's a lot of standing gold now for the side of Enclave if they can make these, you know, movements work. The Rift Herald in the end does actually end up picking them up something, but does not pick up any kind of momentum, no real pressure. And that's really what the side of XL want. They want to try and just push forward with Sendo on this Camille, push forward with Taxer being aggressive with this Jarvan. Have got Crumel's ultimate in the back pocket as well, but we'll have to wait and see. Monkeys might be stunned up here, taking a lot of damage, will get devoured. As I say that though, they're going to go straight onto duel. As I say, Monkeys nearly gets caught up there, needs to back away, cancel the TP. As I say, Warwick did not cancel. Kerberos, what are you doing? The rest of your team have backed away. He's forced to ult and flash. Waste of summoners. He should have just cancelled it 100%. And now he's going to get caught out by Sendo. He's going to get killed eventually, but I just don't understand why.
Yeah, he finishes the TP and Excel, yes, they will pick him up. They're now going to get Shogun. They're now going to know that Sejuani is quite a ways away.
I just don't understand what's going on here from Enclave. This is such an overextension. Now Frappy and Paris are in trouble, as we see now. Frappy's gone down. Paris going to try to put out the DPS. This is so scrappy. This is all over the place. Kerberos baits his team, and they pay so heavily for it. Monkeys, who got out with just his life, gets out with just his life again, and that's going to be Baron. What the hell just happened?
Enclave, I had such high hopes. The game was going so well, and then they start this weird Baron dance for no reason. They've got Cassiopeia, they've got Caitlyn. These guys do great in siege scenarios where you're able to just poke them down underneath the turret. You can throw down the miasma to stop Taxer engaging, stop Sendo engaging, but instead they end up just dying in river one by one. And I have to call out Kerberos there. What was that TP play? Why did you finish that? Your team was long gone from that area. You end up ulting and flashing and still not getting away. That's how deep he went on that play. It all comes crashing down in a matter of moments, and I just don't know where Enclave's head was in that play.
I wouldn't even blame it completely on Enclave. Kerberos made the call, did not cancel his TP, but the problem then becomes the rest of Enclave went to save him. You had Shogun, Frappy, Paris, and Monkeys all go and try and save him. It's not worth it at that point. It's just not worth it at that point. And I don't know why they had to go for that kind of a play. I don't know why they decided to, you know, decide that Kerberos was all of a sudden, you know, this worth person. 4-3 at the time, now 4-4. Yes, they've still got Caitlyn. It's not entirely over, but they've lost themselves their gold lead. Now they're 4,000 gold behind, have yet to pick up a second tower, and what looked like standing gold is now incredible mountains for them to try and scale. It's just not going to work out for them at all until this Baron buff is over and they reset themselves.
That gold is long out of reach at this stage as Excel are setting up for exactly how their composition wants to be played. They have the pressure with Sendo in the top lane. You've got the Tristana on the turrets in the bottom side of the map as well, and Cromwell has planted himself firmly in that mid lane, which means that even with the cleanse, he's free to go and try and influence either of these lanes. Enclave are now scrambling to try and keep these turrets safe, but you can see it's all for naught. Paris cannot get through these Baroned up minions. Sendo is now bullying Kerberos in the top lane, and this is just going from bad to worse. Excel pushing in towards the mid lane now, trying to take down the last of these turrets.
Yeah, they're trying to get their second tier 2. And they will take it without pretty much any resistance as Tristana just melts it. Cromwell is just such a force to deal with as well. they have to wait till this Baron buff subsides. That's the only thing that the side of Enclave can do. They need to just wait it out, see if they can go for something. Now Kerberos, who started this laning phase and this game so well, is now 2 levels behind Sendo, is now struggling with a Triforce and a Titanic Hydra. He does no damage. It's just ridiculous. And here we go. There's going to be the Galio ult on top of Sendo and on top of Kerberos. Simple as you like. And now the rest of the side of Enclave, they're falling apart. They're being dragged left, right, and center. With such a high hope of a start of a game turns into such disaster, and they rotate top to stop the inhib from being taken. They're gonna lose their bot inhib. I just don't know if there's anything they can do right now.
Every lane is pushing for Enclave right now, and I honestly don't think they can do very much. Nice by Sendo to get away from that, but this is it. 2 members now in top lane means that they're free to push in if they desire, but they're going to back up, take the gold that they've so earned in those pushes, pick up the first Drake for themselves as well. Fortunately, it's an Ocean Drake, but they'll be happy to pick up everything on the map right now, especially with how scary this game was looking 10 minutes ago.
I think it's just, it goes back to the most oddest of UK memes where everyone was saying that Enclave's mid game was just not good. They kept falling apart at it despite what they had in the, you know, coming up to that. And look at the difference now. 2,000 gold on Tristana, 2,000 gold on the Camille. Sendo has now taken the lead. 2,000 gold on Jarvan. The only equal lane right now is that mid lane, and that's not what should be happening right now. It's just so frustrating when you see a team just build up so much and then immediately break it down just off a silly call. And hopefully for the side of Enclave and their fans, they can look to try and get this back. They are not out of it just yet, but it is a very long road for them to come back into this. They only take up 1 tower. They're 8,000 gold behind. Those dragons will only do so much. They just need to wait it out and scale.
This is the thing though, Excel are not going to let Enclave play the game that they want. They are demanding to have Warwick and Sejuani in their front line, pushing in aggressively, getting those ults off for those super long range engages that are going to make it so difficult for them to play aggressive and get in onto the likes of Frappy, in onto Paris. The problem now is Excel are in every lane besides one continuous lane. Enclave can't go find those fights. They're struggling to hold their towers. Tristana is bombarding the top lane tower. Warwick is trying to deal with the Sendo in the bottom lane, and they're not holding on for anything right now. Unless they can find some miracle engage where they're able to join up and get the fight before these waves hit the tower, maybe they have some hope. But that's not looking likely. Sendo already on the bottom lane. The top lane is already being shoved in, and you can already see that there's just nothing going for them.
Kerberos needed to stay ahead to win this matchup, and it's just not really working out for them. Now, on the side of Enclave, they have got wave clear. They have got those utility ults and devours to keep them safe in long, extended fights. They are not out of it. You've got a triple crit on your Caitlyn. You have the damage, but I just don't know if XL are going to give them the opportunity.
I really don't think they are. There's nothing for them at the moment though to try and draw Enclave out of their base. So at the moment Enclave should be able to hold out a little bit, but you can already see the damage has been done. 2 towers have been taken. Baron is now spawning in 45 seconds, and XL are holding onto these brushes, waiting for Enclave to make their way over and find themselves a quick kill.
So much vision on that top side for the side of XL, and it's so difficult to see them coming out of this. But again, don't want to be too pessimistic. We have seen Enclave do what they can do in fights, but they just got to get the perfect fight, as we see them now trying to push up, now trying to look for something, as Monkeys, he's going to find it so difficult, and so is Kerberos to go up against Sendo. Sendo has just got so much, and here is the exact same play over and over and over again. As I say that, though, Kremel's the one who gets suppressed. He's the one who's going to go down, and Frappy picks himself up that kill. Little bit of miscommunication there, and Enclave find themselves an opening.
Yeah, that healing coming through from the ultimate of the Warwick was insane. Able to keep Kerberos alive just long enough for the backup to arrive in Frappe and Shogun. They take down the Galio, they have the man advantage, and they're pushing towards this Baron. It's on Kerberos though to see if he can hold now against the Camille. The man advantage is there, the engage is there.
The engage is there as Duel gets caught out. They're going to be able to maybe catch him out. Yes, Paris with the ultimate petrifying gaze. Paris, though, needs to be very, very careful. He's by himself. He gets knocked back. He gets stunned up. I don't know there's much he can do as Sendo from the backside. RKO out of nowhere, and now it's gone back. Here we go. Back into the engage. They're trying to jump onto Sendo. They get the suppression down onto Taxer, who goes golden. Now they're going to try and get the stun onto him. He gets stunned, but he's behind the tower. TP going to come in, and the engage is still ongoing. Kerberos is low. Frappe has got damage, but he needs time. Monkey's getting obliterated by this triple Tristana. And the rest of Enclave, they push it a little bit too far. Paris goes solo, and they lose the advantage they just gained.
Yeah, they are. These fights, though, are just so messy. But overall, it is a bit of a win for Enclave. Double TPs burned on Sendo and Prem, as I say that as well.
Yeah, Baron will go down. I don't think that the Sejuani will be able to get into this at all. There's a TP coming in as well. That's going to be cancelled this time. But in the end,
I was about to say,
yeah, I know,
double
right?
TP burnt was great, but my next sentence was going to be, as long as they don't give over the Baron here. And well played by Sendo to make sure there was no hope of Monkeys getting involved in that, making sure that the Hextech ultimatum stopped him from getting into the pit, and a free Baron goes over to Excel. So overall, we're now right back where we started for Enclave. The Baron buff is there. They've only got the one inhib turret remaining, and this is going to become very difficult to stop. And now they don't have the option really available to see if they can try and go for that Tam Kench ult to help out when Sendo and Kerberos are scrapping and the Galio comes down on top of it, because they're going to be too busy trying to defend their lanes.
Yeah, still only one tower. Next dragon spawning in 10 seconds. That will be another elemental, so we got 5 this game. Sendo, he just has to stay here. He doesn't have to do anything. He has to wait for someone to push this lane, to be a little bit greedy, and then kill them straight away. It is an ocean trade, so we will not have triple infernal, but it will be double ocean for XL, so they will have a little bit extra regen on their health and mana. Not the best thing in the late game, but definitely something worth. All in all, Enclave, they have to find something, you know, 10,000 gold behind. Now they're looking for that kind of god engage. Sendo pushing in the top side. Taxer does push forward, then pushes back. They have got the turret trap set up. Not the most clean of lines, if I'm being honest, but they have got them nonetheless. And this Tristana should just melt it. Has gone actually with a Blade of the Ruined King, funny enough. Quicksilver has been burned. Kerberos does burn his ultimate in reply. Maybe he gets jumped on now by the Hextech ultimatum, but this is just so much damage coming down. Sendo nearly getting the kill onto Kerberos, even though he does have the GA. There's the inhibitor turret coming down. Cromel comes in on his ultimate. Gonna pop in to see if he can catch up onto Paris, who does take the kill. They get the GA out of Warwick. There's Cromel goes golden, does not have anywhere else to go though. That's 2 kills, but the rest of the team of Enclave have not noticed that Venzer is still huge. Venzer still has damage, and Venzer will take you all down. That is going to be a nice little kill there as XL finally finish it up. Was scrappy, it was messy. Enclave had the advantage, but XL proved they are the better team, and they take the win in 35 minutes.
Yeah, XL are able to find their way back into the game. A big misstep by Enclave in the mid meant that they weren't able to hold on to that advantage. XL punished them so hard and so cleverly as well to ensure that there wasn't really any hope of Enclave getting back into it. Once they were able to solidify the 1-3-1, the combo